That Wednesday evening, I was standing in the kitchen making dinner. The phone was placed on the kitchen counter, and the screen lit up. Notification from Chase. Your account received a rental income of $6,500. This is the monthly rent for one of my shops. 3 sets of commercial properties were purchased in full before marriage, and the property rights are completely in my name. On the 15th and 30th of every month, the bank will push the account notification on time. I took a look, turned the phone over as a habit, and continued to line the baking sheet with tin foil. 65,000? Linda's voice came from behind. The movement of my hand stopped for a second. She didn't know when she slipped into the kitchen from the living room and stood right behind me, staring at my iPhone, which was not completely dimmed. 65,000? 1 month? She asked again, with the deliberately suppressed exclamation in her voice, as if she accidentally stumbled upon some secret that she shouldn't see. 6,000, 5,000, I corrected her, dollars. 6,000 and 5,000, she repeated, her eyes jumping back and forth between my face and the phone. 6,000 and 5,000 a month? Those 3 sets together can't dash, Mom, it's time to eat. Daniel's voice came from the restaurant, interrupting the topic just right. Linda smiled, a standard smile with the corners of her mouth raised but her eyes still. Okay, let's eat first. I walked out with the baking tray, and Robert was already sitting at the main seat. 63 years old, retired from the Marine Corps, his back is straighter than any chair in the restaurant. In front of him was my best set of china, which I picked out piece by piece from Williams-Sonoma. Jason was sitting on his right, with his legs crossed and checking his phone. When he saw me bringing the dishes, he didn't even look at me. Sister-in-law, did you eat so well tonight? Is it a good thing? He held a toothpick in his mouth and smiled a little greasy. Just a regular Wednesday dinner. I sat down and laid out my napkin. Daniel said you guys had something to talk about. Robert cleared his throat. That voice was all too familiar to me, the opening signal for family meetings. He put down his chopsticks, crossed his hands on the table, and looked across the dishes on the table, past Linda, past Jason, and finally fell on me. Emily, he said, we treat you as one of our own, so if we have some things to say, let's just say them directly. I didn't answer the call. This is my habit. After 7 years in the financial industry, I learned one thing. When the other person speaks first, the quieter you are, the more exposed they are. Jason's entrepreneurial project, you know, the smart warehousing thing, Robert continued, now has reached a critical stage. It needs a venue and a startup space. We discussed it. He paused. Not hesitation. It's that commander's pause, to make you realize the weight of what's coming next. The 3 sets of shops in your hand are all in good locations. Take them out for Jason to use first. Use it. I repeated the word. Yes, Jason answered immediately and took the toothpick out of his mouth. Sister-in-law, let me tell you, my project is absolutely stable. Smart warehousing is a trendy industry. Entering now is a money grab. You give me 3 years, and after 3 years I will repay you the rent at the market price, no matter what. By then, I can help you renovate and increase the value of your 3 houses. It's not renting, Robert corrected him, his tone as calm as reading a shopping list, it's using it for the family. Jason will naturally repay the money after he makes money. As a family, they know what they are doing. I turned my attention to Daniel. He was sitting on my left, with his head lowered, and he poked the chicken legs on the plate 3 times with his fork, showing no intention of eating. Daniel? I called his name. He finally raised his head, glanced at me, quickly looked away, landed on Robert, and then returned to the plate. It's just helping family, he said. The voice was very soft, as if he was reciting a line that he had memorized for a long time. I heard the sound of my own heartbeat, thump, 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 very slow and steady. This is not panic. This is when my brain goes into analysis mode. I'm breaking down this sentence, it's just helping family. He's saying, it's not serious. He's saying, this is what you should do. He is saying, it is natural for your things to be used at home. I have lived in this family for 4 years. I roast the turkey every Thanksgiving. I am responsible for making restaurant reservations every Christmas. I buy gifts every year for Robert's birthday. I help Linda make appointments with specialists for her plantar fasciitis. And I paid for Jason's 2 overdue credit cards. I thought these were all part of family. It wasn't until this moment that I realized they never considered me family. I am a resource. Those 3 properties, I started, my voice so steady that even I was a little surprised. I bought them before I got married. They were paid in full. They are in my own name. The air on the dining table froze for about 3 seconds. What do you mean? Robert's eyebrows lowered. I mean, they're not joint family assets. They're my personal property. No one said they were joint assets, Linda interrupted, her voice as gentle as coaxing a child. Emily, you misunderstood. We just said that you are married to Daniel now, and you are part of this family. Your things are also the resources of this family. When Jason is in trouble, the family should help, isn't that what it should be? I don't have a marriage agreement with him, I said. The marriage law stipulates very clearly that personal property before marriage. Are you talking to us about the law? Robert's voice suddenly deepened, and the sense of military coercion instantly spread across the entire table. Emily, this is family, not a court. When you marry into this family, you must abide by the rules of this family. What rules? I looked into his eyes. You married into this family. What's yours is ours. His pronunciation was clear and every word stuck to the table like nails. Daniel finally put down his fork. He didn't look at me, but looked at Robert, and his lips moved, as if he wanted to say something. But he said nothing. He looked away again. I sat there with the dinner I'd spent 2 hours preparing in front of me, the chicken legs already cold and the garlicky aroma of the bread gone. My best china, my carefully chosen napkins, my unbeatable good wife show every Wednesday. It's all performance. And they are the audience, the director, the screenwriter, and the producer, except they are not family members. I refuse. I said. 2 words. Clean and crisp. Jason's fork dropped to the plate with a crunching sound. Linda's smile froze. Robert's eyes narrowed, the way one would assess an enemy on the battlefield. And Daniel raised his head and looked at me with a strange expression on his face. It's not anger, it's not disappointment, it's something I can't understand. Later I realized what a relief it was. He finally didn't have to speak on his own. You refuse? Robert's voice was not loud, but every word seemed to be pressed from his chest. You said you refused? Yes, I refuse. Emily, Linda started. Her voice became soft and sticky, like syrup. Listen to Mom, you are not my mother. The words came out of my mouth so fast that I didn't even have time to break. Linda's expression changed. A crack appeared in that gentle mask, and I saw what was underneath the crack, not sadness, but anger. It is the anger of being disobeyed. How can you talk like that? Her voice rose half a tone. I have been in this family for more than 20 years, serving the elders and the younger ones, and I have never complained. How am I treating you? Who makes soup for you when you're sick? Who was on your side when you and Daniel quarreled? Are you telling me now, you are not my mother? Moral kidnapping. Textbook level. I thank you for taking care of me, I said, but this has nothing to do with the property. That is my personal property and I will not give it to anyone else for any purpose. Sister-in-law, Jason changed his strategy, leaned forward, lowered his voice, and acted like we are our own people. I'll tell you the truth. For this project of mine, I have now received a letter of intent for pre-A round investment, and all I need is a physical venue. You help me with this, and when the company goes public, I will give you shares. How much is the annual rent for your 3 houses? The shares I gave you are worth several million. You do the math. Paint cake. Deception. And with a touch of condescension like you're not smart enough to see this opportunity. I've done the math. I looked at him and said, you have done 4 entrepreneurial projects in the past 6 years, all of which failed. The last project owed the supplier 120,000 yuan, which Robert paid for you with his pension. I know the color of your credit report without even looking at it. Jason's face suddenly turned red. That's enough. Robert patted the table. It's not the angry slap, it's the controlled slap, the gesture he uses to end all objections. Emily, let me ask you again. Will you give it to me? No. Have you thought it through? No need to think about it. He looked at me for about 5 seconds, then slowly leaned back in his chair and nodded. Not a nod of agreement, but a nod of I got it. Daniel, he said, come with me to the study. Daniel finally moved. He stood up, his chair making a screeching sound on the floor. When he walked past me, his steps paused. I waited for him to say something. Wait for him to be on my side. Wait until he even says, we'll discuss it later. But he just paused, and then followed Robert into the study. The door is closed. Linda stood up and started clearing the plates, making a big movement and clinking the porcelain. Jason threw the napkin, cursed, kicked off the chair and left. I sat alone at the dining table. There was half a chicken left on the table, untouched bread, and a basin of cold vegetable soup. I bought the candle holder at HomeGoods last week, and I haven't lit the cinnamon candles yet. I stared at the candle with only one thought in my mind. You are never family in this family. You are a resource. You are a woman who owns 3 properties. You are an account with a monthly rent of $6,500. You are an asset that can be used to wipe Jason's ass. And Daniel is not my husband. He was the project manager assigned by the family to manage me. I took a deep breath. My lungs were filled with the remnants of garlic bread, which now smelled like the vents of some kind of cheap restaurant. Good. I took out my phone, opened the memo, and typed a few words on it. Step 1. Find out the lease status of the 3 properties. Step 2. Contact a lawyer to confirm the asset protection plan. Step 3. Observe. Putting my phone away, I stood up and started clearing the table. The plates are put in the dishwasher one by one, the china is wiped and put away in the cabinets, and the leftovers are thrown into the trash. Every movement is precise, calm, and very Emily Carter. I heard low voices coming from the study. I couldn't hear the content clearly, but I could distinguish Robert's voice and Daniel's voice. Robert's was like sandpaper on a wooden board, Daniel's was like pressed cotton. 15 minutes later, Daniel came out. He stood at the door of the kitchen, watching me wipe the kitchen counter. Emily. I didn't look back. Yeah, I know you're upset. I put the sponge in the drain rack, turned on the faucet and rinsed my hands. Yeah, but what my dad said is not unreasonable. Jason's project this time does have hope. He has been in this industry for so long, so he must have a chance. This is the condition of our family. He is my younger brother. And I can't watch him dash you give him $1,000 $2,000 a month. I turned off the faucet, turned around and looked at him. From your salary. I paid for his 2 overdue credit cards before, a total of $14,000. You paid for his car insurance last month. Am I right? Daniel's expression changed. It's not guilt, it's the discomfort of being exposed. I know all this, I said. I never said a word no. Because it's your money, your brother, your choice. Then why can't you dash? Because it's my property. I said word by word. I bought it before I got married. I paid it in full and it's in my own name. It has nothing to do with you, Jason, or anyone in this family. Daniel was silent. Why didn't you say anything just now? I asked him. At the dinner table, when Robert said what's yours is ours, why didn't you say a word? You what? I don't want to make it worse. Worse? I smiled, but I knew that smile was not pretty. Daniel, your family surrounded your wife at the dinner table and asked her to hand over the marital property. What do you think is worse? Did they rob her? That's not what they meant. What does that mean? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I looked at him. This man, the man I've been married to for 4 years, is standing in the kitchen, wearing the shirt I bought him last week, with the cuff buttons I sewed for him. He looked so innocent, so embarrassed, like a victim caught in the middle. But I know he isn't. He was never caught in the middle. He chose to be on that side. I'm tired, I said. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I went upstairs, took a shower, and lay on the bed. Daniel stayed downstairs for a long time, probably continuing his meeting with Robert. It was almost 12 o'clock when I heard the sound on the stairs. He did not enter the bedroom. He went to the guest room. I stared at the ceiling, turned on my phone, and read the bank notification again. Monthly rental income, $6, 500. 6,005. What they want is not 6,000 and 5,000. What they want is control of those 3 properties. Jason's business venture was just an excuse, and taking away my assets was the purpose. I know this maneuver all too well, first taking away usage rights in the name of home help and then slowly eroding ownership. When something goes wrong with Jason's project, they will say, the house is empty anyway, so it's better to transfer it to Jason first and let him get a mortgage loan. Step by step, inch by inch, until nothing is left. I've seen too many cases like this. In the financial industry, this is called asset transfer. In marriage, this is called legal robbery. And Daniel was the one who acquiesced. He is not a bad person. This is precisely the scariest place. He was not the kind of person who would grab something. He just stood there, doing nothing and watching others grab it. Then say, it's just helping family. He packaged betrayal as kindness. I closed my eyes. When I came downstairs the next morning, Daniel was already sitting at the dining table. There is a cup of coffee in front of him, black coffee without sugar, which is his unshakable habit every morning. When he saw me, he stood up and looked a little nervous. Emily, I thought about it for a long time last night. I didn't say anything, walked to the coffee machine and poured myself a cup. I talked to my dad, he said. I think his way is indeed a bit direct. But you also have to understand that he is a soldier, and this is how he talks and behaves. He is not targeting you. I put the coffee cup on the table and looked at him. I told him, I can't force you like this. You are my wife, and I have a say in your things, you have no say. He was stunned for a moment. Daniel, let me tell you again. Those 3 properties were my personal property before marriage. You have no say, Robert has no say, Linda has no say, and Jason has no right. They are mine. I know, he raised his hands in a calm down gesture. I didn't mean that. I mean, we're a family and we can find a way that everyone can live with. For example, you cannot sell the property, but lend Jason a sum of money? For a limited amount, sign an IOU and calculate interest. This not only helps him, but also leaves your assets untouched. What do you think? I looked at him. This plan sounds very reasonable. Even considerate. It's like he's trying to balance the relationship between the two parties, like what a good husband should do. But I knew it wasn't his idea. This is Robert's. In other words, this is the plan that Robert allowed him to come up with. First, he made an impossible request to hand over 3 properties, and after being rejected, he then proposed a compromise plan to lend money to Jason. In this way, if I refuse, it will appear that I am unkind and have no regard for my family. Classic negotiation techniques. Anchoring effect. Robert may not have learned this in the Marine Corps, but he clearly used it adeptly in the business. How much to borrow? I asked. 200,000? Purpose? Buy equipment. He found a batch of second-hand smart storage equipment at a very good price, but he needs cash to get it. Repayment plan? After the project is launched, within 3 months. 3 months? I looked at him. His project doesn't even have a site. How can he generate cash flow in 3 months? Jason said he has a term sheet. A letter of intent is not a contract. Emily, Daniel's tone became a little urgent. Are you going to help or not? It's hard for me to be caught in the middle. My dad is putting pressure on me. Jason is also urging me, and you have this attitude now. He didn't finish the sentence. But I got it. He's saying, you're making it hard for me. He is saying, your rejection is my problem. He's saying, you should give in so I don't have to face my family. I drank my coffee and stood up. I can borrow money. His eyes lit up. Limited amount, formal loan agreement signed, notarized, collateral. Collateral? Does the family still need collateral? If you don't sign, you won't borrow. He was silent for a moment, then nodded. Okay, I'll tell Jason. That afternoon, Daniel told me that Robert accepted the plan. We just want fairness, he paraphrased Robert's words. We don't want your things, we just want you to help our family. I almost believe it. I almost wanted to believe that this was a normal family negotiation and that I was exaggerating the problem and thinking too much. I almost breathed a sigh of relief and went to the bank to transfer the money and continue being a good daughter-in-law, a good sister-in-law, and a good wife. But I didn't. Because I saw Daniel's phone screen. When he walked into the kitchen to pour water, his phone was on the dining table with the screen facing up. A message pops up, from Dad. Not preview content. It's the whole message. Did she agree? Okay. You need to stabilize her first and don't let the lawyer get involved. Jason is already talking to the tenants. Let's take down the house first. I stood at the dining room table, holding my freshly washed cup in my hand. Water droplets slid down the side of the cup and onto my fingers. Jason is already talking to tenants. They had no intention of waiting for my consent. That compromise plan was a smokescreen from beginning to end. Robert pretended to accept, Daniel pretended to be a mediator, Linda pretended to be a peacemaker. All of these were designed to stall me, make me think things were going in a good direction, make me let my guard down, and keep me from seeking a lawyer. Meanwhile, Jason was already taking action. I put down the cup, picked up my phone, and sent Rachel Stein a message. Rachel is my college roommate and one of the best matrimonial lawyers in New York. We meet for brunch every 3 months to chat about work, life, her dogs, and my running results. I never thought I would one day contact her as a client. Rachel, I need your help. Regarding marital asset protection. She replied instantly, when? Tomorrow. I'm taking half a day off. No problem. Bring all the documents you can. I put the phone back in my pocket and took 3 deep breaths. Good. They want to play. Then play. At noon the next day, I sat in Rachel's office and spread all the documents in front of her, the purchase contracts for the 3 properties, the certificates of title, bank statements, and the message I secretly screenshotted. After Rachel finished reading, she took off her glasses and rubbed the bridge of her nose. Emily, what kind of family did you marry into? I thought it was a normal family. A normal family would not ask their daughter-in-law to hand over premarital property at the dinner table. She sorted out the documents and pushed them in front of me. These 3 properties have clear property rights, and there is a clear gap between the time of purchase and the beginning of the marriage. They are undisputed personal property before marriage. No matter which state they are in, they cannot touch it. I know. But they are touching. Rachel looked at me, you said Jason is already contacting the tenants? That's what Daniel's message said. That's trespassing. Your tenant has a lease contract, which is protected by law. No third party has the right to interfere. If they force their way in, you can sue. I know. Then what do you want to do when you come to me? I looked at Rachel. She is the smartest, most decisive, no-nonsense person I know. There was no sympathy or pity in her eyes, only the calmness of what are you going to do? I want to know, I said, what I need to do to prepare if things take a turn for the worst. What's the worst that can happen? They won't stop. Borrowing money is just the first step. When I borrow 200,000, they will ask for more. When I give more, they will ask for the property. When the property is gone, they will want. I didn't say anything further. Rachel finished for me. They're going to want you. Your salary, your time, your uterus, your everything. The air was quiet for a few seconds. What do you want? Rachel asked me. I have thought about this question for a long time. I want my stuff in my name. I want a life without manipulation. I paused. I want to know whose side Daniel is on. Rachel nodded. Then I suggest you do 3 things. First, freeze all asset operations. From now on, no changes will be made to the 3 properties, no documents will be signed, and no money will be transferred. Second, I will help you draft an asset separation agreement, which is not a divorce agreement but a legal statement to clarify the independent attributes of these 3 properties. Third, she looked at me. Third, you have to think clearly about a problem. What would you do if Daniel ended up siding with them? I didn't answer. Because I already have the answer in my heart. I'm just not ready to say it yet. After leaving Rachel's office, I went directly to one of my shops. Great location in Brooklyn, leased to an independent bookstore. The owner is Marcus, who is 45 years old and has 2 children. He has been running this bookstore for 8 years. He was my favorite tenant, paid rent on time, never looked for trouble, and occasionally recommended good books to me. When I arrived, Marcus was talking to a man at the door. That man is Jason. He was standing at the door of the bookstore, wearing an ill-fitting suit, holding a stack of documents in his hand, and was talking to Marcus. Marcus looked confused and a little uneasy. I walked over, my high heels clicking rhythmically on the sidewalk. Jason. The moment he turned his head and saw me, the expression on his face changed several times, surprised, guilty, and then quickly switched to that oily smile. Sister-in-law? Why are you here? This is my property, I said. I can come anytime. What are you doing? I just came to talk to the tenants and find out the situation. What do you know? It's just, the handover thing. What handover? His smile faltered. Sister-in-law, haven't you already agreed? Lend me the money and I'll put the equipment in. What I agreed to was borrowing money. The property is not handed over to you for use. These 2 are different things. But I interrupted, I haven't signed any loan agreement yet. The money was not transferred. So you don't have any right to stand here and talk to my tenants about anything. Jason's smile disappeared completely. Sister-in-law, are you playing a word game with me? I'm talking to you about the law. Law? He sneered, you want to talk to me about the law? You are my sister-in-law, and this is my family's business. This is not your family's business. This is my property. Marcus, I turned to the bookstore owner, my voice softening, I'm sorry for bothering you. Everything is business as usual, nothing has changed. If anyone comes to you again to talk about anything regarding a lease, please contact me directly. Marcus was visibly relieved. Okay, Emily. I see. Sister-in-law Jason wanted to say something. Let's go, I said. If you have anything to do, let Daniel talk to me. Jason stood there, the expression on his face changing from a sneer to something I couldn't understand. Later I realized that it was hatred. You'll regret it, he said. The voice was not loud, but every word was clear. You'll regret staying. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left, the hem of his suit flapping in the wind, like a villain in a bad movie. I stood at the door of the bookstore and watched his back disappear around the corner. Marcus called me inside. Emily, do you want to come in and sit down? No, thank you. Another day. I turned around and left. When I reached the corner, I stopped, leaned against the wall, and took a deep breath. My hands are shaking. Not because of fear. It's because of anger. The anger of being violated, ignored, and treated like a piece of meat. I took out my cell phone and called Daniel. Where are you? At home. What's wrong? Jason was just in front of my shop, trying to negotiate with my tenants to terminate the contract. Silence. There was a long silence. Daniel? I know. 3 words. Not what, not how could he do this, not I'll go find him right away. He told me. He said he wanted to understand the situation first and see when the lease would expire. You didn't stop him? I think he also wants to push the matter forward quickly. You have already agreed to help. He just wants to prepare in advance. Daniel. I closed my eyes. You knew ahead of time that Jason was going to harass my tenants. You didn't tell me. You didn't stop him. I didn't mean that. What do you mean? I mean, they're just trying to move things forward. Trying to move things forward. Move things forward. I suddenly understood something at that moment. It's not that Daniel doesn't know. It's not that he didn't see it clearly. He is not caught in the middle. He knew it from the beginning. He knew Robert's plan. He knew Jason was going to contact the tenant. He knew what tactics they were going to use. He knows everything. And his choice is, do nothing. Don't stop me, don't tell me, don't protect me. He just stood there and watched his family strip me of my assets step by step and said they're just trying to move things forward. This is not cowardice. This is complicity. Daniel, I said, my voice steadier than I expected, I want to ask you a question. What? Have you ever discussed with your parents how my property will be divided if we get divorced? There was silence on the other end of the phone for about 5 seconds. For those 5 seconds, I heard his breathing. Rapid, chaotic, like being punched in the stomach. Why do you ask this? Have you? Emily, calm down. Have you ever discussed dividing property in a divorce? We didn't. Daniel. Tell me the truth. There was another 5 seconds of silence. Then he said something that I will never forget in my life. They just asked me, what would happen? Hypothetically. Just in case things didn't work out between us. They just asked me what would happen what if something went wrong between us? Hypothetically. In case. I leaned against the wall and looked at the Brooklyn sky. It's gray, like a dirty rag. So, I said, this isn't about helping Jason. It's about taking my assets. Start with 3 properties and work your way up to nothing. You've got a plan. When did it start? Emily, since when? I don't know. When did you discuss it with them? A few months ago. My dad once asked me, what would happen if your property was in our name - in my name, and in our name. I repeated these words. Emily, it's not what you think - what was I thinking? They just care about me. They think, your assets are much more than mine, if one day, if I don't want you anymore. You're planning. Daniel. Your family, and you, are planning how to strip me of my assets. Just in case I don't want you. Not deprivation, what's that called? Tell me what it's called. He didn't answer. You know, I said, I always thought you were just weak. I always thought you loved them and me, you just didn't know how to choose. I even pity you and find it painful for you to be caught in the middle. Emily, but you are not weak. You are an accomplice. You never have to choose because you're on their side from the beginning. You just don't have the guts to tell me. No - you said, they're just trying to move things forward. Move what forward? Their plan? Their plan to eat up my assets? You misunderstood. Did I misunderstand? Then tell me, was it your idea or Robert's that Jason went to my store today? Daniel. My dad asked him to go. You know. You knew he was going to. Daniel. I know. I closed my eyes. Then why didn't you stop it? Because. I think what he said makes sense. Your lease expires next year, and if we don't start negotiating now, there will be no place to put Jason's equipment by then. That's my property. My lease. My tenants. Why are you making decisions for me? I'm not making decisions for you - you are. You and your dad, your mom, and your brother, all of you, are making decisions for me. You decided that my property should be used by Jason. You decided that my lease should be released. You decided that my assets should be returned to the family. Have any of you ever asked me? Has anyone ever asked Emily Carter, this woman, what she wants? No. Because you don't care what I want. You only care about what I have. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a long time. Then Daniel said something, so softly that it was almost inaudible. I didn't mean for it to be like this. I never thought it would be like this. I laughed. It's not a happy smile, it's the kind of bitter smile that finally sees through everything, with a little bit of relief. Of course you don't. You never think about anything. You just let other people think for you. I hung up the phone. Standing on the street in Brooklyn, the afternoon sun shines on my face, which is a bit dazzling. Across the street, a young mother pushing a stroller was chatting with an old lady walking her dog. The music played by Marcus came from the bookstore. It was a folk song by an independent band, and the guitar sound was very gentle. Everything is so normal. So peaceful. Only my world was falling apart. I walked into the nearest Starbucks, ordered an Americano, and sat by the window. The phone vibrated several times. Daniel called, but I didn't answer. Linda called, but I didn't answer. Robert called and I hung up immediately. Then Jason sent a message, "Sister-in-law, it doesn't have to be such a big deal. Daniel told us, and you agreed to help. I just want to make preparations in advance. Everyone is doing this for the best of the family, so don't overthink it. For the good of this family." I have heard this sentence countless times in the past 4 years. Emily, cook on weekends for the sake of this family. Emily, please help Jason, it's for the good of this family. Emily, Daniel is under a lot of pressure at work, please bear with him for the sake of this family. Emily, use your property for the benefit of this family. Every time, in the name of family, I was asked to give in. Ask me to give. I am asked to be silent. And there has never been a place for me in this home. I am a tool. I am a cash machine. I am the one who can be sacrificed at any time. I looked at the street scene outside the window, at the people coming and going, and at the cup of coffee that was slowly getting cold. Then I made a decision. Not an angry decision. Not an impulsive decision. It's the kind of decision that you make after you've gone through all the shock, anger, sadness, and collapse, and finally calm down, finally see the situation clearly, and finally know what you want to do. I sent Rachel a message. I need you to do 3 things. First, help me freeze all asset operations of the 3 properties. Any documents involving lease changes, title changes, or mortgages will require my signature and your review. Second, draft a divorce agreement. Third, I paused, typed a few words, and then deleted them. Hit again. Third, be prepared. This will be a war. Rachel replied instantly, copy that. Are you sure? Sure. Then I'll wait for you in the office. At any time. I finished my coffee, stood up, and walked out of Starbucks. The sunshine in Brooklyn is still very harsh, but I suddenly feel less uncomfortable. Because I am no longer the Emily Carter waiting to be decided by them. I took out my phone and sent Daniel a message. There is only one sentence, you don't get to push me out. I walk out. You have no right to push me out. I walked out on my own. After the message was sent, I turned off my phone. The next 48 hours were the most chaotic 48 hours in my life, and also the most sober 48 hours in my life. I didn't go home. I stayed at a hotel Rachel suggested and used her office as a makeshift command center. We reorganized all the documents, notarized all the evidence, and ran through all legal avenues. Rachel said, you have 2 options. First, divorce by agreement. Negotiate the conditions, make things clear, and go your separate ways. Second, litigate for divorce. File a lawsuit, go to court, and fight in public. If I choose to divorce by agreement, will they agree? What do you think? I thought about it. No. They will delay. They will use all means to force me to give in. Yes. Because what they want is not a divorce, but your assets. Then litigate. Rachel glanced at me. Litigation means you lay everything out on the table. Their behavior, Daniel's knowledge, Jason's harassment, all must be brought out. This will not look good. When they did it, they didn't think about looking good. Rachel nodded. Okay. Then fight. On the 3rd day, I returned home and packed my things. Daniel is at home. He was sitting on the sofa in the living room with 2 cups of coffee in front of him. A cup of black coffee is his. A latte, it's mine. He thought I was going to sit down and talk to him. Emily, can you calm down? I'm calm. You haven't come home for 3 days, you haven't answered the phone, you haven't responded to messages, I'm with my lawyer. His expression changed. Lawyer? Did you find a lawyer? Right. Why? Because you need to know one thing. From now on, all communication between us will be through lawyers. Emily, Daniel, I looked him in the eyes, you have made your choice. You chose to side with your family, you chose to help them plan how to deprive me of my assets, and you chose to remain silent when I was under siege. You made your choice. Now it's my turn to make a choice. I didn't plan. You know Jason is going to harass my tenants. You didn't stop. You know Robert is going to take my property away. You didn't object. You know how your family is planning to divide my assets. You didn't tell me. None of these 3 things. If you really thought of me as your wife, you would let it happen. I can't help. You have a solution. You just don't want to. Because choosing to side with me means you are going against your family. You don't want to fight them. You would rather watch me lose everything than make yourself uncomfortable. That's not true. Then what's true? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I went upstairs and started packing my things. Clothes, documents, some important personal belongings. Not much, just 2 suitcases. When he went downstairs, Daniel was still sitting on the sofa. The latte has gone cold. Emily, he said, his voice a little hoarse, can you tell me if it's possible for us to know more? Just because of this, just because of this? I looked at him. Daniel, your family is trying to take away my assets. Your brother is harassing my tenants. Your father said what's yours is ours at the dinner table. Your mother used moral kidnapping to force me to submit. And you knew the whole time, you didn't do anything, and then you tell me just because of this? I apologize, your apology is worthless. When I said this sentence, I was stunned for a moment. Not because it's mean, but because it's true. Daniel's apology was never meant to make amends. It's about letting things go. It was to make himself feel better. To shut me up. I will find time to move the remaining things. Talk to Rachel about the divorce. Don't call me again. I walked to the door with my suitcase. Emily, Daniel called me from behind. Do you hate me? I didn't look back. I don't hate you. I just don't love you anymore. The door is closed. I stood at the door and heard a dull sound from inside. It could be the sound of a fist hitting the sofa, or the sound of a coffee cup being dropped on the floor. I don't care anymore. The next few months were an all-out war. Legal battle. Economic war. Public opinion war. Family war. Robert mobilized all his contacts. He spread rumors among veteran circles that I was a greedy woman who cheated his son out of his feelings and property. Linda posted a long post on social media, saying in tears, I don't know what I did wrong. I just wanted to help my son. Jason is even more ruthless. He published my personal information online, my workplace, my address, and even my license plate number. He said that I was a cold-blooded gold digger and married into their family just for the green card. I was born and raised in New York. My great-grandfather immigrated from Ireland in 1920 and opened a grocery store in Brooklyn. My green card? Joke. But none of this matters. Importantly, their strategy worked. My social media was inundated with malicious comments. I received a threatening email in my work email. Someone was waiting for me downstairs in the company. Are you the woman who wants to destroy the Brooks family? The way my colleagues looked at me changed. Some are sympathetic, some are curious, and some are gloating. Rachel said, we can sue them. Defamation, harassment, invasion of privacy, at least 3. How long will it take? At least a year. Probably more. Then delay. I'm not afraid of delay. Are you sure? Okay. Because I suddenly discovered something, I am not afraid anymore. I am not afraid of their siege, not afraid of their rumors, not afraid of their threats. Because I already know one thing. The only things they can hurt me are the things I care about. And I don't care anymore. I don't care about their approval, their evaluation, or my position in the family. I have nothing left. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Meanwhile, the legal battle is in full swing. Rachel sued Jason on my behalf for malicious interference with the lease contract, threatening the tenants, and causing economic losses. There is evidence for each of the 3 accusations: Marcus' testimony, the surveillance video on the street corner, and the "you'll regret staying" message sent by Jason. Jason panicked. He didn't expect me to actually sue. He thought I was just scaring him, that I would give in after making a fuss like before. He forgot the former Emily Carter was the wife of the Brooks family. Emily Carter now is just Emily Carter. Robert suffered a heart attack during a family quarrel due to too much stress and was sent to the ICU. Linda collapsed. She called me in the hospital corridor, crying and saying, "Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? You ruined the whole family." I hung up the phone. Not because I'm cold. It's because I know that this phone call is not an apology or a peace request, but another moral kidnapping. She was saying, Robert had a heart attack because of you. The family is falling apart because of you. It's all because of you. No. Not because of me. It's because of themselves. During this time, Daniel exposed the debt problem that had been hidden. He made a personal guarantee for Jason's entrepreneurial project and borrowed $400,000 from 2 banks. After Jason's project failed, all the debt fell on Daniel. His salary was not enough to repay the interest, so he started borrowing money from loan sharks. By the time we found out, his debt had rolled to nearly $700,000. And he never told me all this. Rachel checked all the records. He had some debts before he got married, but not much. After getting married, the debts started to accumulate quickly. Most of them were loans guaranteed for Jason, and some were credit card overdrafts. He's been applying for some small loans in your name. What? It's not your name. It is in the name of household income. Your accounts are in joint names, and he has operational authority. The amount is not large, several thousand yuan each time, but the number of times is high. It adds up to about, she gave me a number. I sat on the chair and looked at the number. 4 years. 4 years of marriage. While he enjoyed the financial security I brought him, he secretly transferred our family assets to his perpetually unsuccessful brother. And his family, at the dinner table, said to me, what's yours is ours. They have long considered it their own. Divorce negotiations took 3 rounds. In the first round, Daniel's lawyer proposed that each person own half of the 3 properties because they maintained and increased their value together during the marriage. Rachel threw out all the evidence, the purchase contract, pre-marriage notarization, and independent maintenance records. The 3 properties have nothing to do with Daniel Brooks. In the second round, they took a step back, at least one set. The reason is that as a couple, it's easy to get together and part ways. Rachel refused. There is no legal basis. In the third round, Daniel called me personally. He used an unknown number and I answered. Emily. Daniel. Can we not do this? Sit down and have a nice chat? I'm having a good talk. Through a lawyer. You know I didn't mean that. I don't know what you mean. I've spent the last 4 years wondering what you meant. Tired, I guess. Emily, I know I did a lot of things wrong. But you can't deny that there were good times between us. Yes. Then why? Because had is not enough. Daniel, marriage is not a picture from the past. It's every day, every moment, every choice. You chose them every time you had to choose. I can change. You won't change. You don't need to change it. Because you think you did nothing wrong. You're just helping the family. You think I'm the one making a fuss, the cold-blooded one, the one who doesn't understand family. You still think so, right? He didn't answer. Look, I said, you can't even lie to me. I hung up the phone. The confrontation outside. The court was the final battle. That day is a mediation hearing. Lawyers from both sides are present. The parties can attend voluntarily. I went. Daniel went too. He was standing on the steps of the courthouse, wearing a new suit that I had never seen before, probably bought especially for this day. He had lost a lot of weight, his cheekbones protruded, his eye sockets were sunken, and he looked 10 years older. When he saw me, he walked over quickly. Emily. I stopped. We can fix this. We can solve this problem. I looked at him. The man I once loved. The man I thought would grow old with me. The man who looked me in the eyes at the wedding and said, I promise to protect you. He stood in front of the court, wearing a new suit, 20 pounds lighter, 700,000 in debt, and drained of all value and dignity by his greedy family. Then he said to me, we can fix this. Daniel, I said, do you know what the problem is with your statement? What? It should have happened 4 years ago. It happened when your parents first made unreasonable demands. It happened when Jason borrowed money for the first time and didn't pay it back. It happened when you were silent at the dinner table. It happened when you said, it's just helping family. But now it's too late now. Emily, you didn't break it, I said, looking him in the eyes, and word by word, you were the problem. You didn't ruin this marriage. You are the problem. His face changed. All the disguises, all the good husband masks, all the sandwiched grievances, were all shattered. I saw his true face, a cowardly, selfish man who dared not take responsibility for his own choices. He didn't cry. He just stood there, like an uprooted tree, with no support, no direction, nothing. I turned and walked up the steps into the courthouse. The high heels click, click, click on the marble floor. There was no looking back. The divorce becomes official 6 months later. All 3 properties belong to me. Daniel's debts are his own responsibility. No alimony, no property division, no entanglements. Jason's case was settled out of court. He compensated Marcus for his losses, withdrew all harassing behavior, and was warned by the court. His entrepreneurial project failed completely, he was in debt, and worked as a janitor in a warehouse in Pennsylvania. After Robert's heart attack, his health deteriorated. You can't get excited, you can't be tired, you can't do anything that requires physical strength. Linda took care of him full-time, and the 2 of them lived on a meager pension. Daniel filed for personal bankruptcy. His credit score dropped to the early 400s, and no bank was willing to give him a loan. He moved back into his parents' house and slept in his childhood room. And I moved to Manhattan. I rented a small apartment on the Upper West Side, 2 blocks from Central Park. Get up at 6 o'clock every morning, run, have breakfast, and go to the company. Work, have meetings, make models, talk about projects. Go home at night, read, cook, and go to bed early. The days passed like clockwork. Colleagues ask me, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. They don't quite believe it. A newly divorced woman who says I'm fine usually means I'm not okay. But I'm really good. Not because there is no pain. It's because I finally don't have to pretend anymore. No need to pretend that I am a good wife. No need to pretend that I love someone who is not worthy of love. No need to pretend that I belong to a family that has never accepted me. I'm Emily Carter. I'm just Emily Carter. 2 years later, I started my own investment company in New York. Not big, but very stable. Focusing on commercial real estate asset management, this is a field I have been working in for 10 years, and I am familiar with every aspect. That same year, I made another decision. Through IVF, I had a child. A daughter. I call her Ivy. Ivy Carter. Take my last name. When she was born, I held her and cried on the hospital bed for an hour. It's not because it's hard, it's because I finally have a feeling this person is mine. It is not anyone's accessory, it is not a resource of any family, it is not anyone's wife, daughter-in-law, or sister-in-law. She is my daughter and I am her mother. We are a complete, independent family that doesn't need anyone. That afternoon I walked in Central Park with my stroller. Ivy fell asleep, her little face hidden under the awning, and her breathing was light and even. I walked around a corner and stopped to buy coffee. An oatmeal latte, thank you. Okay, please wait. While I was waiting for my coffee, my peripheral vision glanced at the bench next to me. 4 people. Robert was sitting in a wheelchair, as thin as a handful of bones. Linda stood behind him, with most of her hair white and wrinkles all over her face. Jason was squatting next to the wheelchair, wearing a wrinkled jacket, and was talking to Robert. Daniel stood at the very edge, holding a cup of coffee in his hand and looking at the ground. They looked like a painting crumpled by life. I hesitated for about 3/10 of a second. Then I picked up my coffee, pushed the stroller, and walked past them. Emily? Daniel's voice. I stop. Not because I'm soft-hearted, but because I don't want them to think I'm scared. Emily, is that you? I turned around and looked at them. Daniel's eyes widened. He looked at me and then at the stroller, with a complicated expression on his face, surprise, embarrassment, and something I couldn't understand. This is your child? Yes. My daughter. You are married? No. I wanted a child through IVF. Silence. Robert moved in his wheelchair and looked at me with cloudy eyes. Linda's lips moved as if she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Jason stood up. Sister-in-law, I'm not your sister-in-law. He was stunned for a moment, then changed his expression. That familiar, slick, calculating expression. Emily, you see, we have encountered a little difficulty recently. I heard. Can you lend us some money? Not much, just a few thousand yuan. My dad's medicine expenses, my mom's living expenses. Jason, I said, you should know the answer. Emily, no. I looked at him, at Robert, at Linda, at Daniel. These 4 adults. 2 years ago, they sat at my dining room table and tried to take everything away from me in the name of family. They treat me as a resource, as a cash machine, as a tool that can be sacrificed at will. They used all means, authoritative oppression, moral humiliation, deception, and emotional blackmail, just to get me to hand over my things. Now they sit on a park bench, poor, sick, old, and broke. And there I was in front of them, pushing my daughter's stroller, holding a cup of coffee, wearing a well-tailored coat, and a pair of flat shoes that wouldn't tire me even after walking 3 kilometers. I won. But that's not important. The important thing is, I'm free. We are not family, I said. It's not loud, but it's clear. Daniel raised his head and looked at me. There was something in his eyes that I had never seen before. Not anger, not sadness, not regret. It's recognition. He admitted that what I said was right. I pushed the stroller and turned to leave. Ivy turned over in the car and made a little muffled sound. I looked down at her. Her little fists were holding a corner of the blanket, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, as if she was having a sweet dream. The sun shines through the leaves, casting mottled light and shadow on her face. I keep walking. High heels click, click, click on the sidewalk. The wheels of the stroller turned silently. The temperature of the coffee is just right. I didn't look back. I will never look back. Not out of hate. It's because it has never been my home. It's not because I'm not good enough. It's because they don't deserve me. I'm Emily Carter. I have 3 sets of shops, an investment company, a daughter, and a complete self. That's enough. That's more than any of them have. When I took the last sip of my coffee, I had already reached Columbus Circle. Someone was performing jazz in the square, and the sound of the saxophone echoed between the buildings. Tourists were taking photos and children were running around the fountain. I sat down on the bench, turned the stroller towards me, and watched Ivy sleeping. She looks like me. Eyebrows, nose, chin, all look like me. Only his lips are like Daniel's, thin, with clear lines. But that's okay. Lips are just an organ, used for eating, talking, and kissing. It does not represent anyone's ownership rights. She is just herself. Like I'm just myself. The phone vibrated. Message from Rachel. Tomorrow's investor meeting will be rescheduled to 2 in the afternoon. Don't be late. I responded with an okay expression. Then he turned on the camera and took a photo of Ivy. The sun shone on her face, and her eyelashes cast a small shadow on her cheeks. The photo was taken randomly, the composition was wrong, the light was too bright, but I didn't care. I set it as a screensaver. When the screen is locked, a bank notification pops up on the screen. Chase Bank, your account received a rental income $6,500. I looked at that line of words and smiled. Same number. Same date. Same account. But everything is different. I put away my phone, threw the coffee cup into the trash can next to me, stood up, pushed the stroller, and continued walking. The voice of the saxophone faded away behind him. Ivy is still sleeping. The sky in New York is very blue and clean, like a washed story. And I am the only protagonist of this story.